Hey guys, welcome to Surf and Show. I'm Noel Salas, and today's surfboard review is on the Twinny by Luke Short Designs. Now I've got two stock boards, they're both EPS epoxy. I have a 5.4 coming in at 25.4 liters, and this is a 5.5 coming in at 26.2 liters. I'm 5'9" and 165 pounds. Now, we invited Luke Short to send in a little video to tell us about the Twinny and the board attributes. I think you guys are gonna love this. Sit back, get your favorite drink, enjoy the show.
Hey everyone, this is my Twinny model, originally inspired by a Ben Arca Twinny that I had as a kid. I always loved it, and it was always a little bit too big for me, so I shaped one up, taking a fair few of the elements from the late great Ben's shapes. And yeah, this is my version, and it's a little winner. Couple of little design features, elements. It's quite flat. Which kind of gets you up and going really quick, gets you paddling and into waves really easy. It's got a fair bit of volume in the deck, quite flat deck. The volume pushing out to the rail, and then a bit of a chamfer on the rail, so it keeps things a little bit sensitive. They're not super torquey. You get the rail in. The bottom consists of like almost a retro V, with sitting within the V. There's quite a substantial double concave, which gives you get that roll-to-roll rail feeling of the V, with a broad sweet spot and quite forgiving. But the concave allows the water to flow through quite quickly, and so you got that speed. There's also the latest version of this model. I've got a swallowtail. It gives you that little bit of extra bite at the end of your turn. You get these little points will give you that little bit of extra hold, which sometimes you need. Twinnies are so free and fast. It is nice to have that added bit of control in your turn. I generally like to ride it as a straight Twinny. It is nice having the stabilizer option, so especially if you surf on your backhand, where you tend to drive a bit more off your back foot. And what I like, talking about back foot, front foot, is it's just a different feeling. Having this air up forward, and the free feeling of the twin fin, you can drive a little bit more off your front foot. It's almost like an even pressure on both feet rather than your stock standard thrust up back foot. And thanks Noel for all your hard work and your hard surfing. Hope you enjoyed the board, and thanks everyone for watching, and hope you guys get to ride the board as well. Enjoy, okay?
Stoked to have Luke on the show breaking down the board attributes and telling us a little bit about the Twinny. Now I want to put myself in your shoes. If I had to pick one out of the two boards in the stock sizes, which one would I pick? So for me, what I do when I look at a board that has this wider nose outline, I would say it's more of a classic style fish type twin fin. So after reviewing so many boards, if I think back to other boards that have a similar outline, I have a tendency to go shorter. So I would have ordered the 5.4 because it's in my liter range. If you watch the show, I like boards between 25 to 27 liters. And I always have a tendency to go shorter on this type of board outline. Why? For me, I want to surf top to bottom, and if the board has relatively low rocker, let me show you what Luke was talking about. This board's relatively flat, so entry and exit rocker's low. And if I want to surf top to bottom, I might need that rocker to help me get a nice bottom turn, and then with the wider nose, a nice tight arcing turn would be easier if it had some rocker so it doesn't catch right here. So that's why I would naturally gravitate towards the 5.4. However, one of the things that I noticed about the Twinny that I wouldn't know unless I had a chance to look at one and feel it up is it has more of a curvier outline compared to most twin fin fish type boards. I find those boards can be a little bit straighter. And I talk about this, especially lately in board reviews. A board that has a straighter outline is going to get a lot of speed down the line. It'll like to project, but it will struggle going top to bottom, especially for a person like me, when that has that surface area up here with a straighter outline, it'll have a tendency to catch. Because it's curvier on the outline, it wants to go top to bottom, and I can surf it off the tail. I can even push my weight a little bit more forward and try and get more drive through my bottom turns and my cutbacks or carves. So this board surprised me. I didn't think it was going to offer so much performance and get me top to bottom quickly. So at 25.4, I felt like my turns were sharp. I felt like it was giving me that top to bottom surfing even in smaller waves. And that was a bit unexpected with the wider outline. So riding the 5.4, I was like, yeah, this feels good. And I started on the 5.4 first when we started shooting for the review. Now going to the 5.5, I'm thinking, man, will it catch up here? 26.2 liters is still in the range, and I want the extra paddle and flotation. And to my surprise, the 5.5 felt great. I did notice that there was a tad bit more of a delay from turn to turn. I think you guys can see it when I'm riding the 5.5 compared to the 5.4. This is a little quicker. I can put it where I want faster. And what I'm thinking in my mind when I'm on the wave and I want to do a turn, I feel like this board's starting to do what I'm thinking, as opposed to me taking the 5.5 and what's in my mind, I start to apply myself and the board starts to respond. So it might be a split second delay with a little extra foam and a little extra length, but you got to remember who I am. I'm surfing 4 to 6 days a week. I'm testing out a bunch of boards and I get to study the footage. So it's easy for me to say out of both that I'll take the 5.4 after riding them both, because this suits my style of surfing and what I want my surfing to feel like and look like on video. However, for some of you guys that are stuck in between two stock sizes and you want to get one, I was really impressed with the performance of the 5.5, giving me the turning ability to get top to bottom and go rail to rail smoothly without it catching up in here like most other twin fin fish type boards. But now I want to talk a little bit about the rail, because when I was surfing smaller waves and even when it was overhead, it was really easy to penetrate the rail and hold it through bottom turns and do nice carves. So it's 2 1/4 thick and it's a relatively flat deck. So he's carrying the foam out to the rail. But I would say that the rail's tapered or foiled nicely, and it feels like a thin 2 1/4 in my hand. The apex of the rail is a little bit lower. So that's giving me that penetration to put it on rail and hold it. Even in some textured, choppy waves that I rode it in, it felt great. Remember, this is EPS epoxy. This is when it would sit on top and it would make me struggle with high speed or surfing fast and able to get that rail to dig. So it felt great. Another thing that surprised me is how good the board goes rail to rail. Now, Luke mentions that it has a V bottom. And this V bottom, you can put, when I put a straight edge on it, you can see the straight edge rocking throughout the entire board. And then he talks about that double concave inside the V. So the V is going to help it roll over rail to rail real nice. And then that double just felt like it carried a little bit of that speed by the way that the water was coming through the fins. Now, because the rocker's low, it had that glide. It's a great paddler. And a couple times I noticed that if I had a flat spot in a wave, that the board was carrying great speed through that. Now I want to talk about the fins I chose. And for the bulk of the review, whether I was riding the 5.4 or the 5.5, I was running the Pivot Twin plus stabilizer. Now I've been testing this setup in a bunch of different board types and they're excellent. What I like about them is it has a wider base for more drive compared to your typical Twin Plus trailer set. That also will give me more surface area, which will enhance the board stability, and when I feel the resistance with that wider base, I'll push harder and get that speed through the turn I'm looking for. Now it still has a pretty upright template, and that's going to get the board into the lip quick, and it really enhanced the ability for the Twinny to go top to bottom like I personally like to surf. Now I wanted to show you guys what I'm talking about on the fin size of the Pivot Twins compared to your typical Twin Plus trailer sets. This is the T1, which I like a lot, and even the Aquila Ipa side fins are similar sizing to the T1s. But when I size these up to the Pivot Twins, you can see this has a bit more base. So there's that width. You can see more surface area. So this is going to have more drive when I put the board on rail, and that stability I'm talking about, and you can see it's still pretty upright. So it's giving me that pivot and get me into the lip quickly. Now I did ride the Twinny purely as a twin fin, and that's when I switched over to the HP Twins. Now this has a bigger base, more fin area, and it's still upright compared to the Pivot Twins. And to give you a good idea, let's just take Aquila Ipa's twin fin, and it'll give you a good visual picture on the wider base and the more surface area. And this is just going to give you a lot more hold and drive. And when you remove the stabilizer in the back, it's going to remove the drag. So with the HP Twins or the Pivot Twins or any twin fin for that matter, the board's going to go a lot faster down the line, and the fins you choose will determine the hold and the drive that you're going to get out of it. I really feel like the Twinny lends itself to it's very versatile, and you can use a bunch of different twin fin types and have a good time because of the V bottom and the double concave running through the fins. Now the last thing I want to mention is this new construction they're calling OSIS. Now it's a stringered EPS foam core with epoxy resin, and a couple things make it unique. On the bottom, from the nose to the tail, it has an Negra band. All the way down, it's about 65 millimeters wide, roughly 2.5 inches wide, and it's going to give this board that pop. Now, a Negra has excellent torsion strength, and they're also using it as a dampener, just toning down the chatter that you would get from a normal EPS foam core. Now, another thing I noticed is it has the regular 4-ounce glass on top, and then they've put an extra layer of biaxial glass to give it a little extra strength. And what I personally noticed is, yeah, it has the pressure dents, it has excellent flex characteristics, so on my bottom turns I feel it loading and having that extra pop, but I didn't notice a lot of pressure dents over the rest of the board. So usually when I'm surfing, if I want more speed, I'll move my foot up from back off the traction pad right in here, and I'll get these little golf ball pressure dents on PU polys or other EPS foam cores. And I really felt like that didn't have a lot of pressure dents back here on either board. So it's definitely a bit more durable. I like that there's less of that chatter, and the board felt great underfoot. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed today's surfboard review on the Twinny. Special shout out thanks to Luke Short for joining us on the show and sending these boards in for review. Now I put the link on where to buy boards and fins in the YouTube description field below. Look, if you like the show, subscribe, ring the bell so you don't miss an episode, and give us a thumbs up if you like our content. Until next time, we'll see you in the water. Bye-bye.